Hola, hoy vamos a hablar de conjugation. All right, so welcome to this little series. We talk about some terms that are often used when we're learning a language that are a little bit confusing. Today we're talking about conjugation. What do I mean when I say conjugation? It's something that we don't really talk about a lot in English, but we talk about it all the time in Spanish and other languages as well. So, what is it? Well, when we have an action or a verb that has no subject directly associated with it, or a subject or a person doing that action, we call it unconjugated. My example in English here is to run. In English, we put a to in front of it to essentially make it a noun for no better word for it. If no one is doing the action currently, it just exists. It's just there. So, to run, to talk, to walk, to listen. In Spanish, we have the AR, ER, and IR still attached. So correr, hablar, caminar, escuchar. No one is doing this action specifically, so it just exists. But when a subject is combined with that verb, we conjugate to identify the doer of the action or the subject, the person doing that action. I've changed my word my word sentence here, to run, to I run. Now it's a full sentence, first of all, because we have a subject and a verb, but I've also told you who is doing the action. I run. I take correr and I turn it into corro. Again, it's one word, but it's a full sentence. There is a subject there and there is an action and somebody is doing that action. Conjugation can also tell us what tense and mood we are speaking in, but those are two things that we can talk about at a different time. There is a lot of information on this slide, but we're going to break it down really fast. What does it look like when I say conjugation? What does it look like to conjugate? If this box up here in the corner does not look familiar to you, go back and watch that video on person, or what do I mean by person? Because this is going to help us out a lot so you know what first, second, and third person are, singular versus plural. But in this first box, as a quick recap for you, is the first person, I do it, you do it, he, she, anything else does it, we, y'all, and they. So if we look down here, if I move my little pointer stick down here, and we're looking at these conjugations, again, let's start with the unconjugated. That means there's nobody associated with it specifically. To run in English, to run. If I look through my conjugations here, I have I run, you run, he, she, etc., whatever goes under here, the dog, the cat, runs, we run, y'all run, they run. So we change in English, we mostly just change the person in front, except with runs, which is just there for some reason. I don't know. I don't teach English for a reason. But in Spanish, there's a bit more of a pattern to it. So let's take a look over here with our correr. So again, we have correr unconjugated. There's nothing conjugated about this. And we're going to talk in a moment about how to conjugate. But for now, let's look at our examples here. We have yo corro. So again, this signifies, this means I run. It's the same thing. Yo corro. Tú corres. Él o usted corre. Nosotros corremos. Vosotros corréis. Ellos, ellas, ustedes corren. So again, we have these conjugated, meaning there's an action, the action correr is now associated directly with a person. Somebody is doing that action. I do it, you do it, he, she, they do it, we do it, y'all do it, so on and so forth. So let's talk about now how we actually conjugate. This is going to be a pretty brief overview. If you watch through some other videos that talk about the different kinds of verbs, you'll see some more breakdowns and that have the actual endings and everything. However, we're just going to go through the steps of how to go about conjugating a verb, and we're going to use the present tense, and we will use the verb hablar, an AR verb, just because it's a very popular one. So why not? Well, the very first step here is going to be to take off the ending. So we have AR, we want to drop that AR. We want obble to be the only one left. So I'm just going to go ahead and add, whoop, I have some things popping up on my screen. Obble, ooh, that's really messily written. I'm going to add obble on each of these. Because this is a normal verb, there's different kinds of verbs. They're irregular verbs. There's lots of differences, but this is a normal verb. So I'm going to go ahead and write obl, and that means I'm writing the stem here in all of those boxes. That's going to be consistent. The next step is to choose the person. So for this, if you are speaking or writing, you are going to be choosing a subject for your sentence. We're going to be filling out today this whole box, so it's not necessary to choose the person this time. But if you are going to be saying this in a complete, like in a paragraph or something, or you're talking or writing, you will be saying, I talk, or he talks, they spoke. Things like that, that's going to need a direct person that you have already chosen, not the whole box. Now what we want to do is add the new ending. So again, endings is another thing I'm talking about a lot. There's a whole video on endings and what an ending is. But I'm adding the new ending. This is an AR verb. As I said, we're going to do this in present tense. So in the first person, I add an O, second as, third a. Up here we have amos, ice, and on. All right, so now we have full sentences all around. Right here, hablo, full sentence, I speak. Hablas, full sentence, you speak. Third, habla. Now, third, I will say you want to generally put your subject in there just because there are so very many you can choose from. Right? If I have hablo or hablas, there's no other people those could be. But with habla, I could be talking about the dog. El perro habla. Or I could be saying the teacher speaks. La maestra habla. Or I could just be saying she speaks and ella habla. So that's kind of important. It's the same over here with the hablan. But again, habláis, y'all speak, hablamos, we speak. All right, well, that does it for this video. I hope you feel much more confident on what a conjugation is, and you understand better what is meant by the term conjugate. If you still have questions, of course, please leave them below, and I will try to get to answering them. Vale, hasta luego.